What would you never spend money on? $500,000 ticket to Mars. Not yet. Thinking of booking a seat on SpaceX's first flight to Mars. He even started looking for a way to sell the apartment. But then I imagined what this money could do here on Earth. See the world, create a business, provide for a family. Mars will wait. Personal trainer for $5,000 a month. The way to shape or bankruptcy. Sitting in the gym, I seriously considered hiring a trainer. But after doing the calculations, I realized that this is half of my annual rent. Instead, I bought a pair of dumbbells for $50 and subscribed to a free YouTube channel. I'm still not quite in shape, but at least I'm not in debt. The $15,000 guitar I never bought. I already saw myself as a rock star, but there is a nuance. I don't even know how to play. Instead of giving up, I picked up a $500 guitar and signed up for lessons. I can only play a few chords today, but I'm glad I didn't spend money on expensive decor. Flying on a private plane for $10,000. A dream that does not come true. Since childhood, I dreamed of flying on a private plane. When I found out that the flight cost $10,000, I started procrastinating. But at the last moment, I realized it's just a few hours of comfort. Spent money on a trip to Europe, visited 5 countries, and felt a real thrill from adventure. A private jet? It still looks better in the photo. $7,000 Caribbean cruise. A vacation I didn't choose. Friends convinced me to take a deluxe cabin. There was money, but something stopped it. Instead, I went camping in a national park on a budget of $700. Nights under the stars, barbecue, and great company were priceless. And their cruise? It turned out that most of the time, they stood in queues for the buffet. $3,000 Lakers game and VIP area. Why I changed my mind. I'm a diehard Lakers fan and was willing to spend $3,000 on a VIP ticket that included backstage access and a chance to meet the players. But after learning that for the same money, you could buy a season ticket and attend 20 games, I realized that the emotions of one evening are not worth such expenses. As a result, I took a regular ticket for $300 and had a great time in the fan zone. The $5,000 drone that never took off. I dreamed of a professional drone with a 4K camera after reading stories about how people make money taking photos and videos. But after talking to a friend who bought the same drone and only used it 3 times, I decided to stop. He has had this drone gathering dust on the shelf for several months. Instead, I rent a drone for $50 when I really need it. A trip to Disneyland for $7,000. Is it worth it? My family wanted to spend a week at Disneyland. But when we calculated the cost of tickets, hotel accommodation, and food, the amount turned out to be enormous. Instead, we opted for a $2,000 ride to a nearby amusement park, and the kids still had a blast. The $4,000 emerald ring I never bought. I wanted to make an unusual proposal to a girl and chose a ring with a large emerald. But after talking with her, I learned that she likes minimalism and modest accessories. Bought a plain gold ring for $500, and it was the perfect gift for her. $10,000 for a personal trainer. Is it really necessary? My goal was to be in perfect physical shape. A personal trainer assured me that for $10,000 a year, I would get incredible results. But after watching workouts on YouTube and several consultations at the gym, I realized that the same knowledge can be obtained independently, spending a minimum of money. Tesla car for $50,000. Is it justified? I love Tesla and almost finalized the purchase. But when I learned about the cost of insurance, a charging station at home, and possible problems with maintenance, I weighed everything and changed my mind. Instead, I bought a used Honda for $15,000 that works great. Spend $3,000 on trendy clothes? No thanks. When I saw a cool jacket from Louis Vuitton, I thought it was an investment in style and confidence. But when I saw the price, $3,000, and then realized that it was just clothes that would go out of fashion in a year, I immediately changed my mind. Instead, I bought a jacket for $200 and have no regrets. $8,000 for an exclusive travel camera. I really wanted to buy a Leica camera that takes unique pictures. But when I found out that its features were similar to a normal $2,000 camera, I decided to spend the money saved on the trip itself. A $12,000 cruise I swapped for a hike in the mountains. I dreamed of a luxury cruise with unlimited food and drinks. But after calculating the costs, I realized that I could organize a 2-week trip to a national park for $1,000, and it would be even more healthy. The $6,000 exotic animal I didn't buy. Wanted to get a monkey as a pet because they look so funny. But after learning about the complexity of care, veterinary costs, and possible problems with the law, I decided that it would be better to buy a dog. Wanted to spend $2,000 on a big fish tank. I've always been drawn to aquariums. They look so calming, like a living painting. Once I even chose a model and estimated the budget. But when I learned that fish can die due to an incorrect water balance or temperature, and that you need to regularly spend time and money on care, I quickly changed my mind. Instead, I bought a small plant in a vase. Also beautiful, but much cheaper and more carefree. Thought to spend $1,500 on a ticket to the VIP area of the concert. When I found out that my favorite band was performing in my city, I wanted to buy the best ticket in the front row. But then I started to think, with this money, I could attend 10 regular concerts or buy a new phone that I need. I ended up buying a regular ticket for $200, and the show was still incredible. Wanted to spend $5,000 on an exercise machine. I decided that having my own exercise machine at home would help me exercise more often. But after talking to friends who admitted their exercise machines were just gathering dust in the corner, I changed my mind. Instead, I signed up for a gym membership for $30 a month, and I have more motivation to go there. Considering $1,000 for a professional photo shoot. This was supposed to be for my social media profile and resume. I have already chosen a photographer. But then I realized that you can take high-quality photos with a smartphone and with a friend if you choose the right light. That's what he did. He spent $20 on renting a studio, and the result was excellent. Dreamed of spending $20,000 on an old sports car. I saw an ad for a classic Porsche, and it was love at first sight. But my mechanic immediately said, "These cars are expensive not only to purchase, but also to repair." Once I factored in the cost of replacement parts and insurance, I knew it wasn't for me. Thought I'd spend $800 on a coffee art course. I thought I'd become a master barista and create works of art in my cup. But after watching several video tutorials on YouTube, I realized that you can hone your skills yourself. Instead of the course, I bought myself a good coffee maker and a pack of quality coffee. Almost spent $3,000 on a collectible toy. At one of the auctions, I saw a rare character from my childhood. It was an impulsive impulse because I thought that this thing would become an investment. But after consulting with a friend, I realized that only collectors invest in toys, and I don't. Wanted to spend $2,500 on a marketing course. I really liked the ad for the course. They promised 100% sales success. But when I looked at their real site and reviews, I realized that this is just a way to make money from gullible newbies. Better spend this money on books and practical experience in volunteer projects. Was going to spend $600 on dinner at an expensive restaurant. Was planning to propose to a girl in a very fancy place. But after talking with her, I realized that she liked simplicity. I ended up spending $100 on a sunset picnic, and it was a perfect evening. Planned to spend $4,000 on first-class travel. Was going to fly in comfort for a vacation, but after doing a little research, realized that for that money, you could spend another week in a fancy hotel. I chose economy and did not regret it. I still slept through most of the flight. I almost spent $50,000 on a Tesla Model 3 in 2020. I've always dreamed of an electric car, and when the Tesla Model 3 became available, I almost took out a loan for it. But then I realized that I live in a small town in Kansas where charging stations are a rarity. Also, my old 2010 Ford was still running great. Now that electricity prices have gone up, I'm glad I didn't. Almost spent $3,000 on startup training in 2019. There was a time when I believed that training in Silicon Valley could change my life. But after reviewing the reviews, I realized that all the secrets of success they offer are publicly available on the internet. It saved me from wasting money. I was thinking of spending $10,000 on an exclusive vacation in Bali in 2021. During the pandemic, many people started spending crazy amounts on luxury travel. I was almost tempted, but then two thoughts stopped me. The quarantine could cancel everything, and the $10,000 would be better spent renovating the house in Seattle. I didn't regret it. In school in 2008, I wanted a new laptop for $2,500. It seemed to me that without a MacBook, I would not be able to become a cool IT geek. But the teacher convinced me that any cheap laptop can be used for coding. As a result, I got by with an old Dell and didn't waste my parents' money. In 2015, I was thinking of spending $5,000 on a sports subscription. Back then, I lived in Los Angeles, and everyone I knew went to expensive gyms. I was already ready to sign the contract, but suddenly I saw on Reddit that many such subscriptions remain unused. I decided to run on the beach, and it was free. I wanted to buy an expensive watch for $8,000 in 2017. At the time, I was a student in New York and thought that such an accessory would make me more serious. But then I remembered that I don't even have a suit. I imagined walking with an expensive watch and sneakers, and decided to save money. Almost spent $1,200 on VIP concert tickets in 2016. The band was my favorite, but I thought, is this VIP experience really worth the money? I ended up buying a regular ticket for $100 and got the same thrill as everyone else. I was thinking of paying $20,000 for a 2019 wedding. California weddings can be insanely expensive. My fiancé and I were already choosing a place, but then we realized that we didn't want to spend all our savings on one day. In the end, we had a chamber ceremony for $3,000 and used the rest for our honeymoon. Almost spent $6,000 on a new drone in 2022. I work as a photographer in Chicago and thought a drone would make my photos unique. But friends who are also doing it said they returned their drones because they hardly ever use them. I'm glad I listened to them and didn't waste it. I was thinking of spending $4,500 on a PlayStation 5 in 2020. This was a period when consoles were just coming out and their prices were skyrocketing. But I decided to wait until the hype subsided, and a year later I bought it at the official price of $500. Friends suggested I buy a VIP membership to a nightclub for $10,000. I don't understand how you can spend that kind of money just to sit in a separate area of the club and get champagne. My friend boasted that it was an investment in social status, but to me it sounds like just burning a bunch of money. I would never do that because I'd rather invest that $10,000 in travel or education. Neighbor bought himself a private jet and said it saves time. My neighbor spent about $300,000 on a small plane and then another $15,000 a year on maintenance. I don't even understand why he would, because he only flew once every few months. Personally, I wouldn't spend a penny on something like that. It is better to spend this money on a normal car and not suffer with the costs of fuel and airports. A friend tried to talk me into buying a new iPhone for $1,200. I'm still using my 3-year-old phone, and it works great. My friend says that the new iPhone is a must-have, but for me, it's just an extra expense. I don't understand why spend so much money if the difference in functionality is minimal. A friend invested $2,000 in training to become a millionaire. This idea looks ridiculous from the very beginning. The training lasted one day, and all tips can be found for free on the internet. I would never fall for such a thing because it looks like an obvious deception. I would never buy designer clothes that I can't afford. One friend bought a bag for $3,500, which she didn't even wear afterwards because she was afraid of damaging it. It just makes no sense to me. It is better to buy something practical and durable than to just spend money on a brand name. Anniversary for $30,000. The gift of eternity and Marna Vitrata? Like walking in a shopping center and seeing a display of gold Rolexes. Having said this, I promised to change my life. After looking at it for a long time, the seller finally agreed to reconcile it. Looking gorgeous on the street. Instead of shopping, I turned home and wondered, what do I want to bring to this anniversary? As a result, I paid off my car loan for just a pittance. Now I have not only an hour, but a comfortable way to go to work. Jacuzzi for $12,000. Water paradise or giant bathtub. That's why I just bought a jacuzzi for my backyard. Seeing how I sit by the warm water with a lot of wine until the dawn set. But reality has shown that my schedule will not turn into a road of embellishment, as I will clean more often, less Vicarist. At the Pouch, we trimmed a quiet little spot with sun loungers and garlands. And you know, sitting under that very bright sky with a book in hand seemed no less pleasant. Elite champagne for $5,000. Sacred for one night? At a friend's New Year's party, I found out that they bought a crude dance for $5,000. To be honest, it seems like the taste of this beer is rich, but not a table, in order to justify the price. I'd rather buy a few glasses of the original Prosecco and go to the Italian wine region. Their Cosin Calique fills the soul, not only with relish, but with atmosphere. $20,000 wardrobe. Cheap Postamodi style? A colleague at work was boasting about new suits from a famous designer, and I wondered, why don't I update my wardrobe? Ale Pidrahavav. Why would it be possible to live in a Swedish kitchen? In whose place I turned to the local master, who sewed me a bunch of bright suits. I don't look any better than my colleague, but in the village they lost their pennies for the release. Electric car for $80,000. What's next? I started thinking about Tesla when Elon Musk started launching his first rockets. I'm planning to take out a loan and replace my old Honda with a Model S, just to be on the safe side. Charging and servicing costs me as much money as a new engine for an old car. You should not follow fashion. The Honda is still driving, but I took it easy on the road, having planned a lot of fates. Wait for $50,000. Holy waste? When we started planning fun with our betrothed, our friends encouraged us to do things like at the movies, renting a castle, a grand banquet, and fireworks. We were so close that we spent all our savings on it. And then the villagers thought, we better invest a few pennies in our first little house. The pouch's fun was modest, but still warm. And now it's sacred to throw around in your home, because it's a waste of time.